Great to see you.
Great to be here.
You're always smart on this. What do you think about that, by the way? It's great to bring jobs back to America, to bring companies and manufacturing back to America. But there is something going on with the American workforce and young men choosing to accept the jobs that are looking to be offered to them.
Well, there's a very important point on this that I'm very glad to get the opportunity to share today, which is that mass migration drives Americans and U.S.-born workers out of the workforce, oftentimes in a permanent way, through alienation, social networking, and crowding out effects. Let me give you a great example. If you went to New York City in the 1980s, it was overwhelmingly likely that your cab driver, when you showed up, would be a New Yorker, a U.S.-born, a New York-born cab driver. In fact, I think only about 8% of cabbies in the 80s were foreign-born. So you'd show up as a tourist, you come in from Omaha, you get a cab driver. It's a U.S.-born cab driver. He would tell you about his favorite sites, his favorite restaurants, favorite things to see. There's a good chance today that, of course, if you went to New York City, that the cab driver would be foreign-born. Now, that's not an attack or an insult or a disparagement of that cab driver. But as immigration changed, and we brought in immigration networks to fill up all of those jobs, it created social networks that crowded Americans out of that. And many Americans no longer saw that as a job in which they would feel like that is part of their social network. You see this in profession after profession, where so many jobs, I mean, again, look at, for example, entry-level jobs in many fast food restaurants. In areas that have very high amounts of immigration, it is very often the case that those workers are indeed foreign-born. If you go to a part of the country where there's very little immigration, you will often see high school students, U.S.-born, doing those jobs to earn extra money. What elites don't understand is that unfettered migration changes the nature of the workforce in a very permanent way. And so people will point to a job and they'll say, well, we need immigration for that job because there's all foreign workers doing it. Look at a picture of the Empire State Building being built in the 1920s. Who are the people sitting on top of those beams high up above the city? Those are just American workers. So we've changed the nature Stephen, of these industries.
Yeah, Mike Rowe talked about this as well. He mentioned, like, look at the public image that we've created through pop culture of the plumber, right? Guy with his pants down, halfway down his butt. Like, the plumbing's an honorable job, and it's a necessary job that society needs, along with electricians and welders. And look how that is sold PR-wise to the young American man.
Yes.
And now that being said, let me play devil's advocate. I know you'll have the answer. When I'm listening to you explain your first answer, I can hear the rebuttal. Oh, these people are doing jobs Americans don't want to do or won't do.
No, look, first of all, every industry that built this country, that dug out the Panama Canal, that built the interstate highway system, that built the skyscrapers, those were American workers. American workers were the plumbers, the electricians. But it's your point. The elite said that these jobs weren't jobs that are good for Americans. They downgraded and degraded these professions and said that we need to have cheap labor, foreign workers to do these jobs, which of course drives down the wages for so many of these positions. These are skilled craftsman jobs. These are jobs that have always been a historic route to the middle class. So we drove down wages, we made these professions less attractive, we drove down conditions, and then we're surprised at the result. So as you reform welfare, as you change incentive structures, but also shut down migration pipelines, and then you promote the dignity of these jobs, and you create an economy that works for American workers, that means you end the outsourcing, you end the offshoring, you make these jobs more economically attractive, you make so they pay better, so you can raise a family if you want to on a single income job. If you do all of these things, then you're going to change how the workforce operates in this country, and that's all part of the Trump agenda.
I think that's illustrated today, Stephen, by a topic I would have talked with you about, which is the president making English the official language of the country.
Yes.
Which, by the way, you and I just chased this conversation where our interests went, so I ran out of time to hit on the news today. But I think that fits, Stephen. I think the president making English the official language of the country is tied to what we're talking about.
Yes, if I can say one thing on this because it's so historic. We've been talking about this for decades, for generations. President Trump has finally did what people have been saying they want year after year after year, that we have one unifying national language that promotes assimilation, it promotes integration, it promotes national identity. Two words we shouldn't be ashamed of. National identity matters. We are an English-speaking nation. President Trump once again made history, and Americans can celebrate.
I think that's to be celebrated. National identity matters. Be proud to be American. Stephen, you are welcome to come on any day you'd like to talk about anything you want and jumping into the conversation we're already going on to, because it's always smart. Thank you, Stephen Miller.
Thank you.